That's me, Michael. I am a psychotherapist and a coach here at Uprise. And you can feel free to get in contact or book in with me if you want to take any of these ideas further or anything else. Feel free to post questions as we go. I love interaction and I'm always happy to hear what you have to think. It's lovely to see so many people saying hello and Happy New Year this morning. Really makes me feel like I'm not just talking to a computer screen in my lounge room. All right. So I want to get into this today from a perspective based in values. Now, the way this works is it's kind of like a two-tier program. So on the left, you can see we're talking about habitual behavior. And then the negative thoughts and feelings, as well as other things that sort of feed into the cycle of that habitual behavior. And, you know, sometimes when we're making, let's say, a New Year's resolution or setting a goal, it's what we're not going to do. And that's what we're talking about here on there on the left-hand side. Those things, I am not going to drink this year. I am not going to eat potato chips this year. So that's where we're focusing for the first half on those type of goals. And then in the second half, we're going to focus on the productive and positive goals. Like if we're taking those things out of our life that we're concerned about, then what are we filling that space with? So this way, we're going to kind of work on these two cycles at the same time. So let's just dive in here. Habitual behavior. So we're talking about substance use, we've all been in lockdowns and things like that. It's become, a little easier to have drinks, earlier in the day or just being bored at home and things like that. Even eating habits. It's really hard when you're working from home and the kitchen is literally right there, not to just get up and have snacks throughout the day as much. Yeah, someone's laughing about that. You know what I'm talking about. um, so we're, gambling nowadays. We don't even have to go down to the pokies. We can just open up our phones and it's all there. It's all available at our fingertip in any moment. This becomes challenging. So these top ones, let's say, are the more obvious ones as far as the kind of habitual behavior. Now, we're taking it into a little more nuanced conversation when we start to talk about stress, for example. Sometimes we can feel like stress is something that happens to us or comes from the outside, but stress also comes from within. We also choose to engage with the world in a stressful kind of a way. And so sometimes, maybe we get a payoff from stress, maybe we kind of like that feeling of I'm so flat out, I'm so busy, and we kind of thrive on it. We're kind of addicted to it, and we love to when people say, hey, how are you, we love to say, oh, I'm just so flat out right now. Asking ourselves that question, how much of it comes from without, and then how much of it is just how I approach the situation. Do I have to be a stressed person just because it's a stressful situation? Anger, uh, our windows of tolerance have gotten smaller and smaller the less we have been able to resource ourselves. Let's say a lot of people didn't take leave last year because we couldn't go anywhere or do anything. People didn't feel comfortable going to the gym, doing, whatever those regular things that we do to resource ourselves, getting out and about, seeing friends, all those things. Then when we're not resourced, our window of tolerance is becoming smaller and smaller. There's less space in the boat. It's filling up with water. And, all those little buckets that we normally use to dump out the water, we haven't had access to them. And so there's less and less space. And then things like, our kids being crazy or leaving toys around or just, little things at work going wrong. We find ourselves being very reactive. I don't know if anybody can relate to this or if anybody wants to pipe in the chat. And just having been a little more short tempered than usual and having a little bit less space for the unexpected. Sometimes the way we date can be habitual. Not opening up to, being in more long-term situations, going through the same thing over and over again, the same type of cycles when we do dating. And yeah, there's a lot of people piping in the chat about being a little more sensitive and a little more short-tempered. And these are all some of the things that we approach when we're coming to the new year and we say, okay, what do I want to look at, and how do I want to kind of be better in this new year for myself and then for others around me. We also avoid. That's definitely habitual behavior, either avoiding situations or choosing to control situations. I know I feel a lot more comfortable when I'm in control. Sometimes, my partner has to say, you know what, it's okay. I know how to cut a mango. You don't have to tell me. Then procrastination, all of these things. So yeah, people can definitely relate in different sides. Sometimes, we flare up more at work. Sometimes where it's easy for us to be really good at work, and then we go home and we take it out on our families. Being in lockdown with a lot of other people under the same roof. All of these things are contributing factors to these behaviors that have started to come out. So a lot of the time, like I kind of mentioned in the beginning, people just jump directly to, all right, I'm not going to drink in the new year. All right, that's it. I'm, not going to get angry anymore in the new year. And okay, it's all great to say that, but these types of bold statements, they don't necessarily come with like, okay, but how do I get there? And is that realistic? So when we're trying to approach this from a more realistic way, we have to look into the contributing factors. So for example, Debbie just mentioned feeling more in control by withdrawing from socializing, not being able to predict the behaviors of others, and yet, feeling angry for needing to have to withdraw. And that's a really big one. I just took some time off. I went, traveling, and so many of the restaurants were shut down because they couldn't have staff. Just being in a tourist area and being surrounded by people that are breathing down my neck. And, like I know everyone's going to Christmas gatherings and New Year's gatherings and going out to parties, and yet people are just, not being conscious to the level I would like around me, then, it makes my vacation not feel very relaxing. So we're all kind of in this situation. We're all at different levels of, the way that we feel in these types of situations. Now, we ask ourselves first, what are the triggers? What gets me there? I notice that when I get on the phone with my brother and he talks about how great his life is and how everything's going really well for him and whatnot, then I immediately find myself having a drink afterwards. That's just a made up scenario, but if we really want to make a difference in our life, then whatever it is on this list that maybe you're considering taking a look at, maybe we can start a journal or just put some notes in the phone. Just try to build a relationship where we acknowledge how the pattern works. It is a cycle. This habitual behavior has some other things that feed into it and that keep the cycle going. I drink and then I feel bad and then I have negative thoughts the next day, and then, feeling bad because I'm having negative thoughts because I'm feeling bad that I drank, then leads me down the road to doing that again. How do we break the cycle? So, by starters, we just want to notice the cycle. What are the triggers? Triggers can also be people, places, situations. How can we notice what is adding to the stress on our plate and what is kind of pushing us down in this direction? Um, you know, what are the negative thoughts and feelings that I was having before I started having that thought of, oh, I just need to distract myself in some way. I just need to turn on Netflix or open gambling or some other kind of game on my phone. I just need to distract from myself from this. What are those thoughts that are coming up? You know, Maybe we can start to take notes, write things down, and instead of sort of turning away to distraction, maybe we can work on turning towards a little bit. And it's challenging at first, but that's kind of, I guess, a part of this process. And it can be helpful to reach out to someone at Uprise. And once you have some of these notes and you've acknowledged what are my triggers, what are the thoughts and feelings that lead into this, then it can be really good to sort of get into processing that with someone. Get to know your saboteurs, right? Like, am I people pleasing all day? So I'm saying yes to everything that everyone asks of me, and then I'm feeling really stressed by the end of the day, and then I'm needing that drink to wind down. Or I'm just running outside for cigarettes because I'm just like, I need to have that moment. So yeah, we need to get familiar with that. Where is this really coming from? Am I so hypervigilant that I'm actually causing myself more sickness in my body from stress than if I was actually to get COVID or something like that? Just generally asking ourselves these questions, um, so that we can, yeah, just really understand where these things are coming from. And through this whole process is a process of self-awareness. So all of these things together, noticing our triggers, paying attention to the negative thoughts and feelings that precede the habitual behavior, getting to know your saboteurs, acknowledging the type of behavior, whether that's people pleasing or controlling or being hypervigilant or any of those things, starting to kind of familiarize with that. Oh, okay, that's what's going on here. That sort of self-awareness helps us in the process of changing these behaviors. And self-acceptance is a really important part of that. And this is the most important thing to remember here. As we uncover all of these things, if we just are really harshly judging ourselves throughout that process of uncovering these things, then we're just going to make the situation worse. All of that self-doubt and self-loathing and self-judgment is going to make us feel worse about ourselves, and then again contribute to that cycle: negative thoughts and feelings, habitual behavior. So throughout this process, if you do want to engage in some self-discovery and self-awareness, self-acceptance has to be running alongside. So I hope that feels like a good little package for the first part. Inka is talking about tracking habits. It provides a moment for reflection and understanding. And yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about here. Just tracking things, Okay, last night I really felt like I needed a drink when I got off work. What happened at work yesterday? Let's just, start to create a little more awareness around this. And hopefully this is going to help us to uncover what's really going on. Now, the second half. If I'm trying to remove some of these habitual behaviors that I'm concerned about from my life, what am I filling that space with? So we're going to talk about values. Values usually can be represented in one word, or maybe we can do a couple words. Like we could say presence, we could also say to be present. Um, you know, you can jump on Google and say list of values, and you'll come up with, accountability, accessibility, all on a big list. To be trustworthy, to all of these actions that we do, basically descriptive words, and come up with a list of your own values. What's really important to you? So rather than me to say, I'm going to run every day in 2022, I'm working with a value that is health. So, let's say that is one of my values. Then I'm going to look at, all right, this way I can set goals that are based on health week by week. I can choose to, on Sunday night, say, okay, when I look at my week, realistically, I could probably go for a run on Tuesday and on Friday. And then some other things around health are I'm going to pack my own lunch going to work. Actually, I'm spending Sunday night and I'm cooking, a few meals for the week. I'm going to pack my own lunch on these days. And, set some realistic goals that are likely based on that situation. It's easy for us to say, yeah, I'm going to run every day, or I'm going to run this much, and make a blanket statement for the year. But that becomes really hard to follow through. What about we're not accounting for all the things that might change and all the things that might come up in life? But when we say this year, I want to really focus on my value, which is health, then we can sort of mitigate throughout the year so that we're always coming back to, setting new goals month by month or week by week that are realistic for us to check off. Because there's nothing worse than not fulfilling our goals. If a lot of the time people say to me, I'll be, working in session with people, and we'll do some meditation, and they will have an amazing experience and say, oh, I'm going to meditate every day now. And I'm like, no, you're not. We're not going from never doing it to doing it every day. It's just not happening that way, And so, we can set realistic goals. Like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to try and do that for 3 minutes, 3 times this week. And if we crush that because, instead of our 3-minute meditation, we end up doing a 10-minute meditation, then at the end of the week, we feel really great. We're like, yeah, actually, I did 4 days and I did 10-minute meditations. I completely crushed my goal. I'm amazing. I'm kicking goals. I'm, ready to jump into next week and maybe set a goal that's a little higher. That feels a lot better than I said I was going to meditate every day and I only did 4 days. So, that's kind of just over 50% success rate. It's not really sounding that great. And, we can do this with a lot of things, running, for example. Sometimes I'll be working with a client and I'll just say, okay, look, if you're having a hard time getting out and getting exercise, even going for walks or things like that, we can say, all you have to do is put your shoes on, put on your outfit for running, and stand on the porch. That's it. That's the goal. 3 times a week, put on the outfit, put on the shoes, stand on the porch. It's a pretty good chance if you do all that we're going to go for a run. But maybe if you don't feel like it, it's okay. You still, did the goal. Maybe we're just going to run around the block. We really need to figure out what's realistic for us, and that is going to change throughout the year. That's why, New Year's resolutions are very difficult to work with because a lot of things change, things come up. And so it's nice if we can kind of work with this ongoingly. So what we do is, let's say we've taken 5 values or even 3 values, anywhere between, let's say, 3 and 7 values. And then what we want to do is each week or each month, we want to choose some behaviors that will bring us in line with those values. Now, a behavior is something you can see on film. A behavior is usually like the action that follows after a thought or a feeling. Our habitual behavior was a behavior. Now we're talking about productive behavior. So when we are actually behaving in a way that is in line with our values, we can feel really good about ourselves and the things we do day by day. So it's just as simple as that. Are you behaving in a way that's in line with your values? And yeah, I think it's really important what people are saying in the chat here. It's this kind of all or nothing attitude that a lot of us have. It really can put us off if we can't follow through. So I'm really encouraging everyone to start the year off by just being really realistic about the direction that we're going to go. So, starting from the beginning, we are noticing the behaviors that we're concerned about, and we're maybe considering starting a journal so that we can keep track of all of the contributing factors to those behaviors, rather than just saying, I'm never going to do that again. Trying to understand the deeper story. Why am I feeling the need to reach for that bottle? What's going on in my life that is sending me in that way? And how can I maybe relate to those things that are going on in my life in a different way? And throughout that process, now how can I fill my life with positive things that are in line with my values? I really encourage everyone, do a Google image search on list of values, and you'll come up with a lot of lists of values. Use that as an inspiration. So then once you have a list of values, you can say, all right, now what can I do that brings me in line with that? If my value is to be more, people-minded, to be caring for others, then what is something that I can do this week, even just like a 5-minute thing that gets me more out doing something for someone? Maybe it means dropping off a care package for someone who's currently unwell. Anything like that, right? Something that brings me more in line with that. And then I can also look at, okay, what is a long-term goal? What do I want to get to? What will that look like in 6 months? If I do one small thing every day or every week for the next while, that maybe only even takes 5 minutes, but what am I building towards? What's my kind of bigger, more long-term goal that all these small things will connect to? And this way, when we're doing these things, we know why we're doing it. It's easy for us to go back and to say, yeah, this is in line with my goal about, being more caring for others in this coming year. Or if success is something that I want to work on this year, then, okay, what are the things that I can do that are small things week by week? And then what's something that I'm looking to kind of arrive to in the long term? And this way, exactly. Like I said here in the chat, realistic goals are like taking steps. So we're just kind of like looking at what's right in front of us. And then at the same time, we're kind of acknowledging, all right, this is what I'm working towards, but I have to be able to figure out all these small things along the way. Otherwise, it feels really daunting. So these ideas come from acceptance and commitment therapy. This is something I work with a lot. So the 3 tenets of acceptance and commitment therapy are open up, do what matters, and be present. So the first part, open up, this is about diffusion from ideas. So fusion is when, we have certain ideas about ourselves, negative behaviors, negative thoughts that we're kind of clinging to. So opening up is about, the cognitive process about relating to these thoughts and feelings in a new way. Doing what matters is connecting with our values and actually bringing positive action in a behavioral way into our lives. Being present is the mindfulness aspect. So the third step is, sometimes we just need to disconnect from all of that and all of the little stressors that are out there in the world and be here in this present moment. So as for the last step, we've got a couple minutes left. And if you're interested, maybe just take a moment to roll the shoulders, connect with your body. Remember that we are a body. We're not just driving around in this thing. We actually are a body. Every thought, every feeling that we have, it's contained within this body. Take a few breaths. Let the shoulders rise and fall, and just really focusing on that, dropping into the shoulders, noticing how with each breath they just rise and fall. And then allowing that attention to roll down the arms into the hands. There might be some distractions and thoughts and feelings. That's okay, just let them be. Guiding your attention into your hands. Your attention is like electricity, and your hands are like light bulbs. The more you focus, the brighter they glow. Just focusing all that attention into the hands, and then allow that electricity to spread up the wrists, forearms, the elbows, the shoulders, up the spine, into the scalp. Almost imagine your hair is relaxing. Behind your eyes, your forehead, around the ears, the jaw. Just taking a couple deep breaths, settling into the body, allowing your attention to spread through your entire body. And then we've connected to the present through our bodies. We can also connect to the present through listening, looking, our senses, opening the eyes, taking in the space around you. Try to take it in like you're here for the first time. Really be here now, in this moment, listening, looking, what's around you. And yeah, thank you, everybody. Please do fill out the form that's going to be popped into the chat as for some feedback on today. We really do appreciate it. Our key takeaways really fast: practice self-awareness, be gentle with yourself, connect with your personal values, align behavior with values, set realistic goals, and stay present. Thanks, everyone. I know I would love to, not squish it into half an hour, but that's what we got. Feel free to jump in and do a session with me. I'm happy to take it further and spend more time on this if anybody's interested. I really appreciate you all showing up for yourselves at this time. And feel free to engage with the app. There are a lot of modules on there that can also help with stuff like this. And feel free to contact us. Take care, everyone. Happy New Year. Take care of yourselves.